First, though, we have a few minutes with a busy man, actor Vince Vaughn.
Vince is here to talk about his new movie, the first holiday movie of the season. It's called Fred Claus. Good morning, Vince.
Hey, good morning. How are you guys?
We're fine. Thanks for joining us this morning. This role is kind of a change for you. I know a lot of us remember you from movies like Swingers and Wedding Crashers. What was it like for you doing this family-friendly role?
This was a lot of fun. You know, the script was written by the same writer who wrote the movie Cars, which is a Pixar movie. And this movie's a lot like one of those Pixar films in that it has a lot of smart stuff in it for adults, and it's funny for adults without ever going too far out of bounds. But it's got a great heart and a great message for kids, and the audiences have just responded astronomically to the film, which is nice. And it's nice this time of year to put out a Christmas movie that has a lot of heart.
I was going to ask about that because I think sometimes a lot of actors, when they do some Christmas movies, you know, they can kind of be a little cliched, but this one kind of has a different take on Christmas. And you yourself have said that you like comedies that aren't mean-spirited, that are actually kind of have a good message.
Well, yeah, you know, I've always, you know, lately been, you know, I started off with Swingers, but with Old School and Dodgeball, Wedding Crashers. You know, I like comedy that's not at anyone's expense, that makes people laugh. And the fun with this movie here, I think, is also being such a family-friendly film and being such a good movie for kids and having kids respond like they have. There hasn't been kind of a defining Christmas movie in a while. And, you know, David Dobkin is the same director who directed Wedding Crashers. And we both, when we talked about making this movie, said we really want to make a PG movie that has a lot of smart and funny stuff for adults and for teenagers and for people in their 20s, but have that great magical feeling that you want in a Christmas film. And the nicest thing is the way people walk out of the film. You have that great magic that you have in all the great Christmas films, and that feeling of acceptance and of faith and of hope and all those things.
Give us a quick overview of the character that you play in this movie.
Well, I play Santa's brother, Fred, and that made me laugh when I first heard about it. You know, Jesse Nelson, who's the producer of the movie, her little girl asked her one night, does Santa Claus have a brother? And it started making her think, and she said, yeah, Fred Claus. So it started off as kind of a bedtime story for kids. And, you know, her kind of thought process behind it, which we sort of ran with, was if Santa's so well known and everyone really likes Santa, it would be hard to be his brother Fred. And I think as adults, and even as kids, we can all laugh. You know, when you think about sibling rivalries and kids competing for the attention of their parents, and even in our adult life, how that can affect us. Sometimes we can hear ourselves, and when you take yourself out of the equation, it can sound a bit absurd. So it's meant to have a good-natured laugh and sort of laugh at those sibling rivalries. And then ultimately, I think for most people, how important family is and sort of a forgiveness and a coming together.
That's great. Now, one of the things that we read about you was that you said you tried to believe in Santa until you were 16 years old. Is that true?
Sometimes, Brent, you can lose a nuance of a sense of humor, but yes. My neighbors came to me when I was like 6. They lived next door to me, and they said, you know, there's not a Santa Claus. These guys were not my adult neighbors, obviously, but kids close to my age. And, of course, you try to cover and make like, I know there's not a Santa. But I was disappointed. I went to my sisters and I said, there's not a Santa Claus, and they were a lot older than me. My sisters were 6 years older than me, and they said, listen, that's true, but you can't let Mom and Dad know you know that, otherwise the gifts stop. So I said I had to keep it going for a while. I started shaving, and I was still asking my dad, was Santa coming this year? Do we need to make some cookies? What's happening?
Well, and of course, we know his sisters, of course, didn't know what they were talking about. Because
of course, Santa really does exist.
Yes.
He really does exist. And I think the fun thing about this movie is it really does enforce that in kind of the most special way that we all believe in Santa. It's nice to know for kids that there's someone who's thinking about them and someone who believes in them and has given them a gift as a way of saying that he keeps them in his thoughts.
Well, the movie opens November 9th. Best of luck to you, Vince, and thanks for joining us this morning.
Great talking with you guys. All the best to you.
Thank you. Same to you. I'm going to check on the ride to work now with Ronnie Miller. Here's traffic.